Paano ba mag-umpisang mag-self-review or paano mag-self-review? So this video is about the Librarians Licensure examination in the Philippines, but there will be some tips that might be applicable for other board exams for other professions. For those who are new here, this is the Malditang Librarian channel where we talk about Philippine librarianship and board exam tips. So if you're interested in that, you can subscribe to this channel for more updates. In a previous video, I talked about choosing between a review center or just doing a self-review. But in my opinion, all review is still self-review because even if we enroll in a review center, kailangan pa rin nating mag-exert ng sariling effort in studying. Of course, review centers have their advantages kasi they have instructors, materials, and they have a set schedule that can help you add discipline to your study. But still, even if you enrolled in a review center, if you don't exert your own effort in studying, it's not a guarantee na papasa ka sa board exam. Meanwhile, marami namang nag-self-review lang but have passed the board exam, and I know some people who have entered the top 10 and even the number 1 spot even with just self-reviewing. Actually, I enrolled in a review center, but my time for self-reviewing was longer than my time in a review center. And before I enrolled, I tried to cover everything on my own and study on my own. The review center is just there to help you review the board exam. Some people, parang dun lang sila nag-study sa review center. But for the board exam, kailangan talaga you have mastered the basics. And even if I'm in a review center, I still set my schedule to study on my own. Usually, in the review center, there will be a lecture and you will have time to answer a practice exam. While it helped me, I think there was more advantage in my self-review. So the first thing that I would recommend for those who are self-reviewing is to create a schedule where you can focus on studying. Since I had a lot of time, actually 1 year yung time between my graduation at nung nag-take ako ng board kasi yung graduation ko is April 2014, April din yung board. So I had to take the board exam the next year, which is in 2015 pa. What I did, because I had a lot of months to review, each week, lumaan ako ng isang subject to study. So there are 6 subjects in the board exam with 100 items, multiple choice. So every week, I try to focus on one subject, and every day, I had a set time, usually 1 to 2 hours, just to focus on the board exam. Usually, I would read, review, or research for new resources, and most of my time was for answering the mock exams or practice exams. I created a timetable, a schedule, kung kailan ako magsa-study. And if there are people in your house or if you live with other people, let them know that you are studying for the board exam, and it's good if they will help you minimize distractions. Which leads to my second point is to have a space dedicated for studying. So I had a space in my house na doon lang ako nagsa-study without distraction. But sometimes, I also change my setting para hindi ako mabore. Sometimes I go to the university library namin or just go out in a coffee shop to have coffee at mag-review na rin. Lahat tayo, iba-iba yung studying style. So for example, ako gusto ko tahimik at walang masyadong distractions. So you might have a different setup baka gusto mo yung maingay or may tao. Try to find that ideal setting to optimize your studying time. And another tip, I also deactivated my Facebook since I know that I would really be distracted in my review. I'd rather post when I pass the board exam and not while I'm studying for it. And when I deactivated my social media, it really helped me focus more on studying. So I talked about having a schedule and having a set place where you can study. But I will be talking about my actual studying method while self-reviewing. The Librarians Licensure exam is a multiple choice exam. So yung unang ginawa ko is nag-print ako ng maraming answer sheet. You can see it on the screen. If you want to download this answer sheet, the link is in the description box and it's free. I printed a lot of this and used it for my practice exams. Before ako nagsimulang mag-review talaga, what I did first is to answer a mock exam. Before studying anything, this is what I did to gauge my own knowledge and my deficiencies. So for example, kumuha ka ng practice exam but your score is only 28 over 100. So that's not a bad thing because all those items that you had no idea about or hindi mo alam, that's what your focus will be on reviewing. So yun lang yung ginawa ko mostly. I took a practice exam, I analyzed my answers and where I went wrong, and I went back to those topics and reviewed them again. So after some weeks or some days, i-retake ko yung exam na yun ulit to check if my knowledge has improved. So this is not just 1 or 2 takes. Sometimes I would take the same exam for 3 to 4 times until parang na-master ko na yung mga topics sa exam na ito. So I got all the reviewers I could. Lahat ng mga kilala ko na nag-enroll sa mga review center dati or sa ibang review center, I tried to borrow all their materials at yung mga practice exam just to test myself and my knowledge. At minsan rin, hindi naman perfect yung mga reviewers minsan. Minsan may mga mali din sa kanilang mga answers. So it's good to check out yung mga items na yon na hindi ka sure in order to study more sa mga topics na ito. If medyo kulang yung time mo or you have a full-time job while reviewing, I would recommend focusing more on taking these practice exams. In this way, you are practicing your deduction and analysis skills. Because in the board exam, you might encounter some questions na wala kang idea kung anong sagot. So you have to deduce the correct answer or guess the best answer. Since I had time, I also tried to search for books and reviewers na makakatulong sa akin. Since I had months to review, in my free time, I would still research on my own. Minsan, I browse books in the library just to enhance my knowledge sa mga topics na medyo hindi pa ako familiar with. During this time, I had no full-time job but I was volunteering in libraries. And having experience in the library is also important kasi maraming question is more on stock knowledge, like yung experiences mo sa library, and mga practical applications sa library. For example, sa cataloging exam, most of the questions were practical questions, as in actual cataloging of materials in the library. But I'm not sure about the board exam now. Every year, parang iba-iba naman yung exam. Yung exam ko dati, hindi naman pareho sa exam ngayon because yung mga questions na yon are randomly chosen. So this is just a short video. So that is actually the gist of what I did during my self-review. And I hope this video has also helped you. So if you have more self-review tips for others para sa mga nakapasa na ng board exam, you can share them in the comments below. And see you in the next video.